All right, so what I did is I squared this one to the bed frame, this piece here. Then I kind of eyeballed about the angle that I wanted right here. Putting this, I cut this piece off square, so these were all cut square. I put this side right against that, kind of eyeballed the angle I want, measured it here, went online to a triangle calculator, and then you just punch in. We know these are 2 inches. I knew this was 3/4 of an inch here, and that allowed me to. Once I punched those numbers in, it gave me a angle of about 21 point. I can't remember exactly, but the angle on each one of these turned out to be about 10.8, and that gives me a really nice slope up right where I want it to be. So that got this one. Now I got to cut 2 more for that side. Well, I got to figure out this angle first, which I have an idea how to do that. And then I'm going to cut this angle, and I'll cut the 2 pieces exactly the same for that side. And then I'm going to just lay them on the floor, and we'll weld these so that they're identical on both sides. Alright, so I got all my measurements figured out. Like I said, I've got the first one cut. So this one here I needed to cut to 21.61 degrees. And that gave me, and I divide that in 2, so that's what I say, 10.8 degrees, something like that. And that would give me the perfect angle up here. Now, between this and the top, you want 90 degrees. All right, that's the way it works. So I'm going to take this angle here, and I'm going to subtract that from 90, and that's going to give me an angle up there of 68.38 degrees. Okay, divide that in 2. I got 34.2 about. So about 34 degrees in this angle here with the roof should give me the perfect angle on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and cut that, but before I do it, I want to measure how high I want it. Now I'm going to make it about, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch or so lower than what I think would be ideal. That allows me, if I want to, because I was comparing the bed here with the fender, it actually sits a little lower than the original bed. That'll give me if I get everything all done and I decide that the bed sits too low, it'd be really easy to put 1-inch spacers underneath it to lift that bed up a tiny bit. So I'm going to design it with the idea that I can raise the bed a little bit if I want to. So yeah, so let me measure that. I'm at 32 inches. I want to go up about 30. How much? What did I say that was? 30 or 31? 30 and a half. I want this to go up about. I'm going to go about 30. I'm going to go about 30 to 30 and a quarter. Let's say. Let's try that. 30 and a quarter, because I'm going to go 30 and a quarter because you can always cut a little off if I think it's a little high, but hard to add stuff back in. So I think I got all the pieces cut. Now this angle up here might be off by a degree or so, but it's close enough. All I have to do is a little bit of grinding, and I should be able to get it right on. So yeah, that's where it is. So I'm going to start getting these all tacked together. Then once they're tacked together, I will actually start tacking them on. All right, and there it is. I got the headboard on. It actually was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really film doing it, but basically figuring out the angles was a lot easier in the age of the internet. You can just go online, punch in a few numbers, and get the angles that you need. Once I got these figured out, I was able to make these two sides identical. I put them on there, got them all squared up with this, measured the top piece. I already knew what the angle was supposed to be, and got that tacked into place. So yeah, it was actually quite a bit easier than I thought. It was going to be a pain, something I've been dreading, but it actually went really fast. So far the hardest part about this thing was getting this deck squared up with the frame, which I think I was overthinking it. Shouldn't have been that hard. So my next project is going to be the tailboard, where the tail lights go in. Then I need to get the fenders, at least the fender frames, put in. Once all that's done, I should be able to take this off and finish it up in my garage. I can put the bed back on my truck and actually have a vehicle again. But yeah, things are going pretty smooth. So I'm going to get to work on the tailboard. I got a few errands to run, so might not get to it till tomorrow, but I didn't film it, but I got the light, the tailboard started, which will hold the lights, and eventually there's going to be a drawer system in here. This here, as you see, I got a little bit of an angle, so I did play a little bit with angles because I wanted to get it to kind of, I thought about going square, but everyone goes square, so I wanted to have a little design there to it. But I ran out of metal and I wasn't able to get this. Now this is just boxes in the drawer. The drawer slides in above it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece here. I will get that put in. And then, what do I have next? Then I got a couple pieces on the front. I might not get to those tonight. Might have to work on those more. But here we go. locked into place. So the tailboard is done. I've got the headboard done. I need to do some fillers next. There's going to be a drawer, underbed drawer that's going to slide out of there. Probably should have thrown something over the bumper. I don't want to ruin the bumper, even though I'm not putting it, I'm removing it completely. But yeah, so on to the next part of it. I think they call this a bubble cab. Basically what it means is that because of the 4 doors and the back seat, the cab extends back a little bit, and then the bed kind of wraps around the cab of the truck, and you end up with this space right here. So it looks incomplete with it like that. So what I'm going to do, this isn't the piece I'm using, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece that's going to fit in here kind of at an angle, and it's just going to go in there like that and fill in that space, just so it looks a little bit more like the bed is actually designed for this particular truck. So that's my next project. Let's get it started. So that'll fill in that space there. That's kind of what I was thinking. Nothing real fancy, just kind of a little filler. That's all it is. All right, let's see if we can see this better. Alright, so we got this here piece in. I thought I was going to put a third piece in, but I actually like kind of the clean look of just having one on the top. I filled it in and ground it to give it kind of more of a rounded look. I really like the way that looks. And then I have one right here. I didn't go all the way to the bottom because I kind of like the look of the legs. Here, we'll show you that looking down. Yeah. So if you look down here, I've got the brace here and then the leg sticking down a bit. Like the way that looks. It really fills in the body. Fills in this bubble in the body, so it doesn't look so unfinished. A lot of flatbeds on the Dodge Dakota. I've seen quite a few of them. They never fill this in. It's just sitting there. So yeah, this gives it a nice, clean, completed look. Alright, I decided before ending this video that I'm going to mount these fenders first. Now I keep saying that I have them marked, so I have marked where I want them, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and get them mounted. That way they're ready to go. Now the thing is that I'm not going to weld them on. So when I say mounted, that doesn't mean I'm going to weld them on. They're actually going to be bolted on. I like to bolt fenders on because fenders get damaged, and if they're damaged, it's a lot easier to just unbolt them, fix them, straighten them, put a new one on, whatever you got to do. So they're actually going to be bolted on. So in order to bolt them on, and the way this is, I've got this frame designed. I've got it designed so that the deck drops down in here, and this is a little lower. So the fender's going to bolt up tight against this, but back here I need a little bit of support. So I'm going to cut some supports here that are going to get welded on. This is 1/4 inch because there's a 1/4 inch gap between the bottom of this and the bottom of this. So these will work perfect. So these are going to get welded on. They're just going to be little tabs that I'm going to drill through, and I'll tap them, and then they'll be screwed on from the bottom to hold the fender on. And then the other thing I got to cut is I'm going to cut a couple of little tabs that I'll weld right inside here. I was going to bolt it direct to the frame, but I think I'm going to actually put on some little tabs. I just think that'll be a little easier to work with. So anyway, got to get cutting these here to start with. Alright, just a couple little tabs. They don't have to be huge. I'm only bolting this fender on with 1/4 inch bolts, but there's going to be 4 of them in the top, and then there's going to eventually be some down the sides too. So they don't have to be huge and fancy. But I'm going to get those put on now. Alright, I had to clean it up, and then I got to finish welding these ones in. When I can turn it over, I'm going to weld the sides underneath here. But I at least got them tacked pretty good in there. These ones here, I don't know if you can see that. They were really hard to reach. I think they're pretty much done. The welds are really crappy because I had a lot of trouble fitting the gun down inside of there to get it welded. But once I get everything cleaned up and I can look at it better, I can assess whether it's going to need some touch up. But it's just holding fenders on. It doesn't have to be like it's not supporting the weight of the vehicle, and there's plenty of bolts holding it on, so not that concerned about it. Anyway, so that's where it is right now. I'm going to get the fender lined up where I want it, make sure everything's square as far as the bed goes, make sure it's just right where I want it, and then I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes to mount the fenders. When you do fenders, I'm going to drill a hole a little bit bigger. That gives you enough finagle to kind of shift the fenders a little bit if you need to get them lined up. And you always use washers to make sure that they stay up in there. Okay, so got the fenders on. As you can see, I've got a tab here, and I've got it threaded, and one here. These are 3/4 inch because that spaces the fender perfectly down from the cross members here. And then right under here, I don't know if you can see that, those are just 1/8 inch angle iron, 1 inch angle iron. I got that threaded too. So this fender's bolted down tight. It's really solid. The other side, it's all welded, tacked up, and I just have a couple bolts on the fender just to make sure everything lined up good. Alright, so that wraps up this video. The whole frame, as far as the truck is concerned, is measured out, designed to fit the truck properly. There's some few things I got to fill in this area, put the fuel filler on. There's a few other things that we'll be doing in the next video. But right now, the chore is to take the frame off the truck, and I'm going to put it in the garage. I want to put the old bed back on so I can have my truck back. I haven't been able to drive it for a couple of weeks. Anyway, it's going to come off. I'm going to get everything welded up. Everything's just tacked right now, so we're just going to get everything welded up. You guys don't need to watch that. So stay tuned for the next video, and we'll start filling in, doing the fuel filler and some of that other stuff. So I'll see you next time. And if you haven't just subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when that video, the next video drops. So see you next time.